Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video, and today we're going to go over some topping deck lists for the Japanese release of Dragon Ball Super card game Fusion World, which fully releases for us at the end of the week. We did have pre-releases this previous weekend, and I did go to one of mine, and it was a lot of fun. So honestly, just super excited for the full card game to be out, and just for Constructed, and to see what this first set really kind of looks like. So if you guys are new to the channel, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe. I do a lot of tournament data for a lot of Bandai card games, and I'm expected to do a lot more for Fusion World as well. I run this website. I have a deck builder for the card game too, and honestly, I was just looking for some deck lists to kind of go over. We're going to get way more as we get into the actual season, but I wanted to just kind of have like this preview of what we've been seeing for the first kind of week of people actually having the cards in their hand, and just kind of go over it. So that's what we have today. We're just going to go over some of these lists, and I also do want to shout out Cosmic for helping me track some of these down. These are mostly just found off of just kind of stores and random players tweeting on it, or posting on it on X. So these aren't like super duper like competitive lists. These are more kind of like locals winners and just kind of first steps. So nothing too major, but I do think it kind of shows a bit of like the ideas of what people are playing, what decks kind of look like, as well as what people are just leaning like color wise. You can see green and yellow are kind of like the top two, and red and blue weren't doing as well, at least for just this first kind of week. So that's kind of the idea. So we have 14 different deck lists to go over. And again, I do want to say it's release week. There's probably just unoptimized builds, and also I do know product here is a little bit scarce, and so I'm pretty sure it's a little bit scarce in Japan as well. So I'm sure none of these are optimal deck lists, but again, just kind of some first steps and some basic builds so people can kind of start looking for what they should look like for a deck wise. So we're gonna just kind of go by color. So we're gonna go in order. So we're gonna start off with these red deck lists. So we do have one copy of the Goku. So this is U7 one. I have to say that because the regular Star Deck one and this one looks very similar on the front side. I mean, identical on the front side, right, outside of the art. But so this one, obviously a very aggressive build, and something that I noticed too is that even when we have cards like the same meta between regions, some regions play a little bit differently. And specifically like Japan, I don't find that they play as aggressive as us here in North America at times, but I think this is like probably one of the most aggressive leaders that we have in this game. Just being able to boost all of our Universe 7 cards by 5k is pretty strong. So that means we're playing this Whis, which there's two Whis from this. This one's probably better than this one because it becomes a 15k for free, which means you can at least pressure your opponent as well as have that activate main. We have a good amount of Awakeners with our Krillin, our Aandroidd 17, and our Master Roshi. And then for the top end, we have a combination of one of the Son Goku 3-drop, which I'm gonna guess maybe like this deck specifically I think is a little bit doesn't have all the cards they need necessarily, so there might be some cards that are missing, but you're gonna see a lot of people are playing like these 3-drop vanillas just because the stat line's really good. They're 25k, so your opponent can pressure them with their leader for free unless they're Broly, and they're not too terrible for their curve, so I don't mind that this card I can see why these are being played. We'll see a lot more in the next couple deck lists too. And then our top end is just running the Son Gohan Adolescence and the Son Goku Universe 7. So this one is a little bit more of just kind of an upgrade from the Star Deck. It looks like they were able to buy 2 Star Decks and then just add a couple additional cards that they were able to get from packs, including the Son Goku, one of the Beerus, and then a couple of the extra cards as well. The Assembly Representatives Universe 7 is pretty good, being able to be like a 15k aggressively, but also being able to help find some Universe 7 cards, which there are a lot of good top end Universe 7 cards. For example, Son Gohan Adolescence, the Son Goku from the Star Deck, and then also the Beerus too. So and a super combo, which is really good for that. So I think all that is very helpful for what the deck is and what it tries to do. And I kind of like what it looks like. So I think this is maybe like a step above what a Star Deck could look like, getting the red Star Deck and then adding the leader from the set. But I think this can be very strong, and it's going to be interesting to see what a fully optimal version of this Goku looks like in the future. Next up, we have Beerus, which is one of my favorite leaders for this set. I think his control aspect is really cool. I like how he has kind of 2 different kind of play styles for the deck. The first side is a crit leader, so being able to be pressure your opponent with this crit pressure is really fantastic. And then on the back side, you're able to just have some of the best removal for the game. Giving minus 10k means you get rid of like some of like like 1-drops for free very easy, or you can attack into your opponent's battle cards and you can attack them over for easier, or you can just help it by removing it by getting stuff in range for God Kamehameha, or like minus 10k twice with Sun Gohan Adolescence, and leader effect means you get rid of a 20k for free. All that seems really, really strong, and I like what that's kind of doing for the deck. So additional cards. So this is they're playing the 1-drop Whis that has activate main, which is great. We have the Master Roshi to help you draw a card. We have some Awakening from the Krillin and the Android 17. 2 of the Son Gokus. Again, this lets you, pop a 20k or less. So if you use leader ability to get something minus 10k, and then you use this, you can get rid of a 30k card, which is great. Top end of the Son Goku and Son Gohan Adolescence. They were able to get a couple copies of this Universe 7 Goku Secret Rare. So this is great too. You can combo this with the Beerus of choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards that gets minus 15k power for the turn, and then auto when this card KOs an opponent's battle card in battle, you get to deal 1 damage to your opponent. This just means that you're able to use this effect. Like if something's 20k, you can make it a 5k and then attack with this Goku, which means that they're going to take the damage and you get the removal at the same time, which is really nice. Other than that, top in there, we also do have this Shin, which I haven't seen as much, but I think is a good card for the deck. Of a permanent your turn, your leader with God of Destruction, its special traits gets plus 10k power. So you can just kind of play this card and leave it out if you want to, especially like if there's scenarios where if you're still on the crit side and you don't want to keep starving them of resources, you can just play this out, have a 30k crit, and then just leave this there. And if they don't answer this card, you can continue to get that plus 10k just as long as he's out, right? So I don't think that's a terrible card for this deck, and I think it's something I definitely need to try out myself too. And it's Universe 7, not that I think we have any Universe 7 searchers for this one either, but I like what this build's looking like, and I gotta try it myself. It looks like a really, like most of the builds of my Beerus have been kind of leaning more for just like the hard destruction outright, but just being able to get the value without having to get the hard destruction, I think is a cool way to play it too. So this is the Beerus deck list there. Next up, we're going to blue real quick. And I think blue was pretty good and constructed, but there were, I know some people are having a hard time getting like full value from it in more of like this green meta at times. Sometimes it's not fast enough or aggressive enough. I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about it yet, but I do know a lot of people have been trying it. I know there's some, the peel-off loop is really tempting and it gets a lot of value, but value doesn't mean a lot if you don't, can't convert it into kind of like some high-end pressure at times. But this one definitely looks like a bit of an upgrade from, again, like the Star Deck Blue Vegeta. Some addition adds, like, we do have like a good amount of Go-Tens and Trunks Youth. So we're adding the Trunks Youth from the set, which is another Self-Awakener. That's Trunks Youth, which is really good, which means that our Go-Tanks get some additional value. Being able to find those 2 cards is very good for you. The fact that you can find a blocker, are a Trunks Youth that can draw a card. The Go-Tens are definitely kind of on the weaker end. I think the Trunks Youth are the better, especially because this card puts so much pressure. Being able to be just a 25k for 2 is very easy to do and very strong, which I think is good for you. Other than that, we do have like the Son Goku that can, choose 4 or less to, can remove anything from the board. We have the 2-drop Son Goku, just a blocker. If you have 7 or fewer cards in your hand, it gets plus 10k. So it's a 25k blocker on your opponent's turn, which is kind of nice. And then we also have the Trunks Future. Honestly, this is probably like one of the best cards in blue right now. It's great on curve, being able to help you self-awaken, but even if you play it like on turn 5, you can bounce back one of your opponent's cards to their hand and still get that value. So the tempo for this card is fantastic. Bouncing cards to hand is not as strong in this game as it is in like One Piece, just because you can still attack the turn you play a card, but I think this is a really good card for this deck, and Vegeta is really great at taking advantage of it. Also, and then the 4-drop, I've been liking this card more and more. 20k for a 4-drop is a little bit small, but being able to have 1 card, push 2 pressure is, I think, very strong in this game. So I like what this does, and I like the ad for it. I do think it's a little bit surprising. None of like the no extra cards though outside of Sinister Sickle. I think Gallic Gun is still a really great card, and then being able to recycle it with Piccolo is strong in my mind. But this is a really good removal card. It hits a lot of good cards, I think, right now, and I think it might be a little bit slow for what we're trying to do with Vegeta at times, but just having like a potential backup card if we need to remove something, a big threat, I think is pretty good too. Because Vegeta also gets rid of a 4 or less, and then being able to get like a 5 or less with Trunks Future means you get a good amount of stuff, but just you are limited to kind of that cap there. So this is the Star Deck Vegeta build here. And then next up we have Goku Black, and I was really surprised. This one's a little bit wonky. It is 58 cards, 59 with leader, and we do have a good amount of top end, but not like a lot of like. I don't know. We are running like the Goku Black to the engine to be able to play this for cheap. One attack, give you 7 or fewer cards. Play up to 1 battle card at the cost of 4 less from your hand. And we don't really have a lot of great targets for that effect though. Like the 4-drop Goku Black, sure, you get a 40k attack and a 30k attack. It's not flashy, but it is a lot of pressure. We can get the Trunks Future as well, but there's a couple more like 4-drops that I like to run in this build specifically, just because like being able to play it for free is really nice. We do also have the Vegeta as our top end as well. We have like these Goku Blacks, which we can play for. Like this one's still like fine. You can play like as a Masu. If it's the 15k one, you're able to get a 15k attack and then use the effect, put it at the bottom, and then play this. So you get some like good cycle with it. So I do like those kind of cards for the deck. I do think like I don't think you have to run these many Zamasus, to be honest. I think this is a little bit overkill that we're running 12 when we only have 12 targets for Goku Black. So I think that's fine for what it is. I do like the Guasu, helps the engine. We have the Pilaf, which generally can only find itself, but that's fine. You don't really need that. We can also find like the Pan if we need to draw 2, trash 2, or technically the My Future. But no Final Hope Slash is a little bit weird. I do think that's a good card for helping your Pilaf out. But other than that, yeah, it's a really interesting build. I personally feel like this deck is like a little bit cheesy and maybe not strong enough for what it needs to do to compare to the other decks in the format. But I don't know, like this card is pretty sick. Like being able to do the effects correctly. I just don't think there's like a really stellar 4-drop to pair up with it. But I'm sure we'll get like a better one this card being around for as long as it is. I'm sure there will be like a really good 4-drop in the future that's you're gonna have like a little bit more synergy with it. And because of that, you're just gonna be really, really strong. So I don't have much more to say. Just that is the Goku Black build there. All right, heading into the green block, we do have a couple of green decks. Pretty much all 3 of the leaders had something top, or I was able to find a deck list for it. So going into this meta, I think a lot of people thought that green was the most powerful outright, and so far these early results kind of pair up with that. So Broly's, I think, is the most unique leader that we have in this game. The fact that it is a 25k on the back is pretty strong. You do go down to 3 life, but again, since you are better at defending that life, because you again are 25k, I do think that's helpful, and I do think that's also why a lot of people are playing these 3-drop 25ks, is because there are enough Brolys in the meta that being able to play that is worth it, just to be able to get that pressure on the leader as it is. But this first build I really like. It's very clean. It's generally like, and I've been saying this a lot, this is like a really good like upgrade to if you bought 2 star decks of Broly, being able to say, okay, here are the cards that we add from this are the Gohan Childhood and the Goku, just great 1-drops that help you cycle your cards. Then we also add the Son Gohan Childhood 5-drop. This is just great for being able to pop something on curve and get rid of a 4 or less. And then after that, we play this Son Goku here, which this card is great. And so this is like actually like one of my favorite cards in this entire game. I think this card is just so strong for helping you get value, especially for Broly. So with this auto, when this card is played, or when a card is placed in your drop area from your energy, add the top card of your deck to your energy in rest mode. And Broly has this effect. One, it gains energy on Awaken, but then also activate main once per turn. Place 1 of your energy in your drop, then draw 1 card that gains plus 15 or plus 5k. So you become a 30k leader for free. But then if we have the Goku out, we recycle it. But then we just get it just means like you get a free draw, right? That's what this means with the Goku. And it's also not once per turn or anything like that. And it's also not your turn. So if it happens on your opponent's turn, which is more for Son Gohan Childhood as a leader, but you are able to, you just don't lose that energy, which is really great for you. So I do like that. And then top end Broly BR. This is probably I mean, it's the most expensive card in the game cost wise, but for a good reason. When my opponent plays one of these, I'm like, I better win this next turn, or I'm probably losing to this guy consistently, right? Like, he's just so strong, being able to be a 45k attack twice, and then on top of that, like the removal, the card cycle, just everything about him. He's just a monster of a card, and there's a reason why. A lot of decks are ramping because he is worth that 8 energy to get to. So, again, nothing too flashy, but I really do like this build. I think this is a really clean build for upgrading Broly, and it just has a lot of strength for the meta as in general. So there is the build there. And then the other Broly list, a little bit more juice into some of the super rares and stuff. It's a little bit wild. I don't know why they play this Paragus. I double checked. They definitely did play both these. I can understand like why you'd play this one because it does have a When Awakening, but we're not playing any Shimoan, so I'm really not sure why we're playing this one outside of it just being a Saiyan that you can search with some Gohan Childhood, which is fine. But I think I'd probably change this out for something else. Or just even play like a couple Shimoans. But regardless, some upgrades we did add like the Aandroidd 18, being able to draw a card on play, but then also when attacking, or sorry, draw one discard, but when attacking, if you have 6 or more energy, which Broly is very good at doing, you just get to draw a card for free, which is really nice. We do also have like the Vegeta, which is another just ramp card on play, up to 1 card for an energy cost of 3 or more from your drop tier energy in rest mode. So being able to get that ramp on play is good for you. And so we have this technically like 11 ramp cards, 11 ramp battle cards, and then also a couple copies of, or 4 copies of this Destructive Strength, which really helps you. And then other top end cards, we do have Sun Gohan Childhood, which is great in Broly. The fact that you get to add the top card of your life. So if you go down to 3 life, you can then use this card. You go back up to 4, which is really good. And then lastly, the Secret Rare, which I'm still on the fence on this card. I feel like, the board wipe is really strong. But having to, like, it can't attack the turn you do so, and you have to discard a card from your hand. I just feel like you can probably do better for 7 energy at times. But I honestly don't have a lot of experience playing this card and in general. So I do like 8-drop Broly. I think in a lot of cases, 8-drop Broly does about the same thing, but better. It's more pressure, and it only gets rid of 1 card, but I don't see decks going as wide, especially since we do have a good amount of removal with the Vegeta and just how much attack power, or like raw power that Broly gets. So I do think that's a difference. But we're not playing like the 5-drop Gohan Childhood, so that's a bit of a difference there, and can be a factor for it. But in general, I don't know. I don't know. I definitely would not run more than 2 of this card, and I need some more experience with it. But it should not be the reason you don't play this deck. If you don't want to play, if you don't have this card, because I think it's a little bit expensive right now, you're fine. You can definitely play this. This build honestly looks really fun and really playable, and I think you have some strength. The only thing, the 1-drops and the 5-drops rares from the set, I think you need to add. But other than that, you're in a good spot. So those are the Brolys, and then we also have an Aandroidd 17 and 18. This is a really interesting build. They did end up using the Dr. Gero's Lab, which I was not sure if this was a good card, but the fact that here's kind of like the trade-off in my mind. You can play this for 3, but then you switch this card to rest mode if your leader's Aandroidd 17, add up to 1 card with Aandroidd and special trait from your drop to your energy. So you get 1 ramp per turn for free starting turn 3. So being able to get that additional energy every turn is pretty good. It does mean like if you play it on 3, you can't activate the effect at all. And then you get it the next turn by paying 1. So like it's a little bit of a slow start, but then if you're able to consistently get that effect for the rest of the game, you're in a really good spot. So that's kind of like the trade-off for it. I didn't know if it was too slow or not, but this was a really interesting build for it. So one, you are kind of locked to this leader, but you do get to 6 energy pretty consistently, so you get that 30k pressure from the leader pretty consistently too. But we're running 4 copies of the Sun Gohan Childhood, which lets you heal, and then also 4 copies of this Aandroidd 16, which has blocker. It's only a 15k, and then when KO'd, play up to 1 Sun Gohan Childhood with a cost of 6 from your drop. So being able to block with this, and then you get the Sun Gohan Childhood back, which means you get to heal another card That's, I think, pretty neat. Pretty neat interaction for the deck. The one KO does not activate if they get KO'd by like getting their minus effect. It's not a KO effect. So against red specifically, this might not be a really good card, but against everything else, it just means you get to keep getting these Sun Gohan childhood effects. You're able to, get that additional draw, and then eventually just are able to get these Brolys just by healing, or even like these Sun Gohan childhoods by, clearing out their board and everything. So this is like a really kind of control kind of build of green that I really haven't seen before. So I think that's really neat. And I honestly need to give it a try as well. So something that I didn't try before, and I thought Jiro might have been too slow, but if it works out, it seems great. We're not even playing like the Saiyan. We're not playing. I always forget the name. Destructive Strength. We're just playing the lab, which is cool. So that is the build for this. And then we do have 3 copies of Sun Gohan Childhood. If I was asked a week ago, I would probably guess this is the best leader in the game right now. This is still the first weeks of the game, so don't think it's a hard and fast rule. But he's honestly, I still think in a really good spot. So this build, I do think, like, honestly, you do need to play this Goku in it, because again, like in the Broly deck where you have a leader effect that you lose in energy anyways, you also get this in Sun Gohan Childhood, because you do have this activate battle once per turn. Place 1 of your energy in the drop. This gets plus 15k power for the turn. This is on either player's turn as well, and this is also on either player's turn, so you can use the effect from this for it. So being able to use the Sun Go, like, it's just like a free 15k on both turns now when this card is out, which I think is just too strong to kind of give up. So that's kind of like the one critique on this build. This one definitely felt like a little bit more of a Broly deck that they just added, changed Gohan as the card. We do have like for this guy, we have like the pop guy, and then we're also playing the Moa, which only finds the extra cards, which is not terrible. Just as an additional card, you're probably not playing this all the time, but just if you like need to find Destructive Strength, if you haven't seen it on your opening hand and you have this guy, you can finally, you can try searching for it. This card can also find it too, because it does have, Destructive Strength does have a, Saiyan in its traits, so that's important for you. And then we do have like the ramp of the Vegeta and the Turtles too. So that's this Sun Gohan Childhood. This one has a little bit more at the high end. It is running the 1718, which I do like. This card is like the on play effect is a little bit lackluster, but Double Strike is a little bit rare and coveted in this game as it is, because not a lot of people are respecting that they can go from 2 to 0 all the time. So because of that, I think having a way that gives you Double Strike in this deck is still kind of worth the the ad for it. Maybe not 4, but definitely a couple copies. We also have like the alternative ramp from Trunks Future. Again, if you're not playing against red, this is a fantastic card. It's a 3-drop, 20k. It's blocker, and then also if that gets KO, you get the you get to ramp the energy, and it's active too, which is kind of nice. So being able to do that, I think helps you in a lot. Blue can bounce it back to your hand, and red can have some minusing effects. So, and then yellow can just rest it. So every color does have like a way to interact with this card, but if they don't interact with it, then you get the ramp, which is really cool. So other than that, just kind of what we see. Well, we also have like the ad of this guy. It's a 25k, but so it's above curve, but it can't attack your opponent's leaders. But it does mean like you can get some really good interaction with attacking into your opponent's cards, which I think is nice too. And I think we got one more, we got one more copy of it. We got one more copy of it. This one. Yeah, this one is pretty much the same. Actually, they might just be the same overall. Yeah. Both of them, I think, were the same between the two of them. Yeah. They're just near identical. They were just identical builds between the two, which was interesting. All right. Lastly, we got the yellow block of this here. So Ginyu, honestly, I might have had the I might have been underrating this card in this deck, to be honest. I didn't think it was going to be as efficiently aggressive as it's seeming to be. So I think that's definitely a short side on mine. You do get a good amount of pressure from this deck. I also didn't think this card was good, but you know what? Just the fact that it's a 1-drop that says Ginyu Force in its traits is good enough to run, just to help you with your numbers. Have enough cards for now you see the power of the Ginyu Force out, or it even helps out your bonds of the Ginyu Force too. So I think that's just a solid card. It doesn't have like great interactions with the other Ginyus, like the 2 drops, being able to play for free or what have you. But um, this does put out a lot of good 20k attacks. The fact that we have our leader effect that says when attacking, draw 1, but also activate main once per turn. For 3, discard 2 cards from your hand. Choose all your battle cards with Ginyu Force in their special trait and switch them to active mode. So if you have 6 energy, which is not too terribly hard to do in this game, you can do something like you play a copy of Raccoon for 3, and then you use Raccoon to play like a Ginyu. Even like if you have like an empty board, right? So you have to 3 or more battle cards with Freeze Army. So you play like Jace or Ginyu, 1-drop, play Raccoon for 3, so you paid 4 energy, but then you get 2 back with this Ginyu, and then you can play like another copy of Jace or something. It just means like you get to get a lot of attacks. You develop 3 attacks for 20k. And then you can restand all of them for another 3 attacks for 20k, and then your leader attack. So that's a good amount of pressure. It means you need 7 cards from your hand to be able to defend all of them if you're not Broly. And I think that's like that caveat at the end is the biggest issue with this deck, is that if Broly's really good in this meta, Ginyu is not so much, because you're good at putting out 20k attacks, but not 25k attacks, and because of that, you are having to use more cards, and your opponent, needs to use less cards, essentially, right? So that's kind of the trade-off for that. And here's like the other build of it. The only big difference really is the add of the cooler, which this is fine. It's a big 30k attack, and you're able to, rest 2 or less and maybe even KO it, and does have blocker for it, but I think like the Weenie Rush is the good way. Chote's not too bad either. It's only Frieza Clan. It's only opponent's turn 2, but it becomes a 40k blocker, and this becomes 30k. So you can attack with this, and then you can defend with it too. But I don't know. This one's a little bit different on ratio wise. We're only playing the draw extra card. We're not playing the Bonds of the Ginyu Force, which this is a free 15k in leader, and then it's 20k for every additional one. So this can go off and be very strong. But I get why it's not. It can be bricky too. So those are the 2 Ginyu lists that we have. And to wrap it up, we have a couple copies of Cooler, which is probably like my second favorite leader in this game. If Beerus, like, I like Beerus and Cooler pretty much the same. I think there's some really cool, tricky plays for it. I think Cooler specifically is going to be really dependent on play style and your choices. And my only like worry about this from like a competitive standpoint is that it doesn't draw on the front side, and then on the back side is activate main in battle. You have to discard a card from your hand, so it's a little bit tricky to say like, is that going to be too costly moving forward? But I do think like being able to attack a 40k twice and discard a card is really great for this deck, and it kind of supplements the fact that you have to discard a card for it, but it's the same as like doing a combo for a 20k card that you super comboed with twice. You know what I mean? So like that's 40k is a really good number in this game, because it means that they have to use at least 2 cards on defense to not take the damage. So I think Cooler gets advantage there. Obviously his own 4-drop is in a good spot, and then Golden Frieza for that double strike advantage there too. You can't restand this with leader. If you could restand this with leader offensively, you'd be really happy, but even without that, I think you're fine. And we have our Zarbon, which is able to find our Frieza cards. We have Crusher Ball for that additional draw and resting stuff. And then Supernova is, I really like this card too, being able to get like a stun on something too. It's only activate battle on your own turn, but the fact that we also have this cooler effect, it's once per turn on either player's turns, and you can also reset your energy. So you can do something silly where you can attack with something, like you can play Golden Frieza for on curve, attack with it, discard a card with Cooler's effect to ready an energy, and then use Supernova. So you lock down 2 cards, you have a 55 double strike coming in, and there's just like a lot of pressure immediately for the deck. So other than that, I think this is a pretty standard build of Cooler. I think this is really good, and a good upgrade from like a Frieza starter deck too. And then we also have this build as well, so pretty similar for it. This one might be like a little bit on the cheaper side. We're not playing any extra cards, which I think is like a little bit of a mistake, you know, because we do get that free energy potentially if we need it. But we are playing like the Mecha Frieza, which I do like this card. We can play a King Cold at cost of 4 or less from your hand, so they decide just to use the 30k, which is fine. The fact that it's a Frieza Clan card, so Cooler can restand it, I think is great. There's also like the blocker from the starter deck, but I think this one's just fine by itself. And then again, like the Frieza and Cooler, I think you have to play 4 of each of these. They're very good top end cards for this deck and just puts down a lot of pressure for it. So anyways, that's going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed going over this. Again, these are just a glimpse of what the meta is starting to look like from the beginning of the game, and I'm looking forward to more events as we get them in the next couple weeks and seeing what really ends up being on top as well. So that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you all next time.